Drew Independent and even other parties, even the 6 MPs, the women rep and the governor, we enjoy a very close relationship. The perception is not that we are close. The perception should be, are we able to work for the great people of Nandi so that we ensure development trickles down to the lowest levels of the villages and even to the ward level. So the issue, we will ensure that we oversight. And I've been very categorical when I was campaigning, during my campaign, between when I won the Jubilee nominations up to the other day when the campaigns were closed and I won. I've been very critical that we need to ensure that we need to work together, the unity of leadership, and that is what I want to foster in Nandi. But I've always insisted that when the governor performs, or even the MP or the MCA, we will applaud. But that one does not prevent us from criticizing where it is healthy to do so, because it is out of honest and non-malicious and in good faith criticism that we will have the correct development and the right development agenda, that the manifesto that we promised. And Makiu, also the reason many people perceive we are close is because we were elected on the same party, and therefore we come together, and the agenda that we want to deliver is the same agenda that the Jubilee wants to deliver for all of us, even to the villages level. So that issue should not, whether we are close or not, but the issue is we must ensure that we work for the Nandi County. If there is any issue that the governor will do it good, I'll be, as a senator, I'll give him the 100% support. If there is something that we feel that it is not working right, of course, we will discuss with him in camera, or even we'll discuss with the great people so that we ensure we get everything right from the first step. Yeah.
And indeed, we saw a very vigorous CEO sometime last year just critiquing the governance of the governor who's just leaving Nandi County, Mr. Lagat. And you would take to the streets, you would hold barazas with residents, and basically do everything within your capacity as a resident to ensure that there are checks and balances in Nandi County. Do you expect a vigorous you of the same, and especially for the residents of Nandi County? They would see you demonstrating with them, or even just trying to air their grievances. But now you're in Senate. How will you ensure that Wanjiku in Nandi County still feels you will be with them in fighting for their rights as residents of Nandi County? Granted that right now we may not see you taking to the streets, or perhaps we will see you if there's a problem in Nandi County.
No, the issue is, my background, of course, is the defense of the people, human rights and protection of resources. And I want to say the outgoing governor, Dr. Lagat, was a good friend of mine. But he lost the fact that when he didn't deliver the campaign pledges he made in 2013. Makiu, we did campaign for him. We were in the same party. So the issue is not, in fact, whether the issue was not about personal issue. The issue was about the divide. And I think when we went to the demonstrations, we all public parazas. Even, in fact, there was a time I went to the Senate to appear before the accounts committee so that we could account for the county resources. But what I'm happy that while we did that, the people of Nandi noticed, and they noticed there was something wrong, and that is why he was sent back. The issue is now we will have a more, as their senator, I will ensure the interest of Wanjiku is represented. I will ensure if there will be anything that needs to be done in the interest of the Wanjikus, I'll be at the forefront. The fact is that we have agreed as the leadership of Nandi that we must sit down, and we have said several times to ensure that we deliver. But when you ask the question whether Wanjiku will feel represented, I can tell you it will not be even 100%, it will be 200%, so that we ensure if there is something that is right. And that's why I insist, the governor and the entire leadership, we get it right, the Wanjiku will be represented. It doesn't mean when we are demonstrating or we are criticizing the county government, it means that the Wanjiku interests are being represented. The Wanjiku interests can be represented sometimes when we are doing the right thing and ensuring development trickles down to the villages. So on the fact that you will see a more vigorous, energetic representation of Nandi County, and we have so many issues now. that the expiry of leases of multinational companies, we have issues with multinational companies, the issues of cess, and so many even natural resources that we have in Nandi County. So all those factors, I can assure the people of Nandi and even the country, because we will not only be offering at the level of Nandi, but we will ensure also the national interests are protected for the benefit of all of us. Especially when we are young as this, we carry a lot of hopes and the aspirations of the many young people.
Senator-elect, and in keeping with matters delivery in Nandi County, I had the privilege of covering you during the campaign trail, and indeed together with Governor-elect Mr. Stephen Stang. Now, the issue of tea multinationals is one that really contributed to your election into the Senate in Nandi County, because you tackled the issue and you talked to Ananchi about your plans on the same. Now, tea multinationals have been in Nandi County for the longest time, but their leases are seemingly lapsing from this year all the way to 2019.
Yes.
Giving us practical formula, we did have the former governor of Nandi County stating that he will fight for those tea multinationals to be run by the county governments. But from where you sit and from what is practical, and of course from the residents of Nandi County, where we have around 40% of the residents being squatters because of the presence of tea multinationals, how do you intend to go about this particular issue?
You know, the issue of expiry of tea multinationals in Nandi is a very serious issue. And I want to say from the onset, the reason we have expiry of leases is the Constitution of 2010, which moved from 99-year lease. So the issue of multinational companies, it's a very serious issue that we will land on at appropriate time. But what I want to say is that another factor you have talked in is the squatters. Most of the squatters, all the way, we have some in Tindret, we have in Ngetipkong and many other areas in Nandi County. And I know even here in Bonjoke, there are so many squatters courtesy of tea estates. But what we want to agree is to ensure that the multinational companies, we will not want the national government or the county government to lose the levies or to lose all those the cess we get. The issue that we are proposing is that our as the senator, in my own considered opinion, is to ensure those tea leases revert to the county government, then the county government hold in trust on behalf of the people of Nandi, so that we don't end up subdividing those lands and we don't have economic value. What we should be looking at, we ensure they revert multinational companies. And you know, some of these tea estates in Nandi have been grabbed by some of the people who are in power at some time. So these are things that we need to protect, so that we ensure when they revert back, they don't go to the wrong hands. Number two, we have also tea estates that are being managed currently by the county government, which is like Kiborkok Tea Estate and Kaimosi tea estates. Those tea estates are being managed by the county governments, but there was no specific returns for the last 5 years because of corruption and many other issues that were being perpetuated allegedly by the previous.
Let me stop you at that point, Senator-elect. Therein lies the problem, because I remember at one time Deputy President William Ruto had visited Nandi County, and in trying to address the issue of tea multinational leases lapse, he noted there was need to have a very concrete plan such that if these resources are given back to the people of Nandi, of course via the platform of the county government of Nandi, that the resources do not die down. Because I remember he asked them in Swahili, and to quote him, mmejipanga namna gani to take over these tea multinationals. And as you note, we have some which are currently under the county government of Nandi, but they have little to show for it, including the remuneration for workers working there. In fact, a number of Nandi residents would rather work for the foreign multi-tea multinationals than work for the ones being run by the county government.
No, you know, the law is on issues of leases. We normally, the law give priority to the people who hold the leases before. What I'm saying is that we will not chase away the multinational companies. We will hire them, we call what to do, so that they manage on behalf of the county government. The county government will all on trust, and that is what we are just saying. What we are saying is that the county government will all on trust those multinational tea estates. Then the issue is very simple. We will not chase away the multinational companies, because we will have management companies, what we call in law management companies, so that they continue managing the tea estates, but the bosses will be the county government, and indirectly will be the manage, but the county government will just all entrust on behalf of this. So on the issue of these multinational tea estates, when the time will expire, it will mean the Nandi County, the tea estates will refer to Nandi County government, but now they will hire the management companies who will manage on behalf. That is when now we'll have the full return. But that's why I'm saying, of course, we had issue, as you have said, of tea estates that are being managed by, like Borok tea estates, by the county government, that there is nothing to show for it. It is because of corruption. And as the senator, my background has been fighting against corruption. So we'll ensure corruption is as rare as a snowball in hell, especially in running of multinational companies, so that we ensure, because as we talk now, we want that say so that roads are developed. We want the CSR so that our children get scholarship, and also we want to have CSR in terms of schools that are within us. And even the last finally is about the squatters. We have so many squatters who have been disadvantaged by this GST. So we need also to sit and have a concrete plan. If, for example, these squatters are like Tindret Estate, the people who live along Tindret Estate feel that the tea estate that we have already, they were chased out of their land. So we need also to address some of his land historical injustice so that we conclude this matter. But I can tell you, on my side as a senator, we'll ensure we bring up a concrete plan so that the great people who will benefit are the Wanjikus of Nandi.
And in keeping with that, Senator-elect, we have seen the people of Nandi purposely voting young leadership. From where you sit, yes. You're barely 30 years old. Yes. The governor should be around 32 years old. We have MCAs as young as 24 years old in Nandi yes. County. So the people of Nandi have made a deliberate attempt to believe in the leadership of the younger generation. Do you think they've made a mistake, or are we going to see a huge change of events in Nandi County? Granted that there are also critics who point to young leadership as having its disadvantages. Culture shock, for instance, financial culture shock to start with. We had one of the aspirants in Nandi County noting in his campaign trail that yes. if we elect all these young leaders in Nandi County, we may risk all of them going to Mombasa, for instance, this December. And we have no leader in Nandi in case of anything. That's, of course, on a lighter note. Yes. But how are you going to ensure that as young people you cushion yourselves against some of these challenges that are bound to be there?
No, I agree. I don't agree entirely with that presumption, because generally maturity does not come with age. It comes with acceptance of responsibility. So the fact that you can be 60, but you have childish tendencies. You can be 20, but more mature. And that is the reason we were elected. The great people of Nandi elected us based on they knew that these are youthful people, well-learned, they are energetic and charismatic. And Nandi has a history of doing the first in many things. And you know, that's why in the first woman MP to be elected in 1964 comes from my county. The other is Kilibwani Ward, where the current 23-year-old Cynthia Moge comes from. So Nandi is a place of first. But I think another factor is the people of Nandi do not care about age. When we sell our agenda independently, when Governor Sang and myself we sent it independently, it meant that there were people resonated with the issues we were discussing, because they wanted young people who could transform the great county of Nandi. And I want to assure the people of Nandi that we will not fail them. We will ensure we deliver, because we are still young, we are still energetic.
Thank you, Senator. Let me cut you short, but don't go away, dear viewer. We take a short break and I take you to Trevor Ombija, who will then usher in what is happening at the Treasury in Nairobi. Trevor.
Thanks, Lois, and you're absolutely right. We're talking about what's happening at Treasury, where the Cabinet Secretary for Devolution, Mwangi Kiunjuri, has just had a briefing saying that there's going to be the governor's swearing in beginning next week, and there's several other dates that are going to be put across. But joining us now is Andrew Chieng. He was there earlier on. Andrew, what are the highlights of the day?
Well, thank you, Trevor. As we mentioned earlier on from the press briefing, is that the swearing in of governors-elect and the deputies will begin from the 17th. Remember, there is a 10-day constitutional period which has been given, which says that within 10 days, when a person has been declared the governor-elect or the deputy governor-elect, then within that period of 10 days, then they have to be sworn in within that period. So the swearing in will be taking place in all the 47 counties. We have been given a list here where all those ceremonies will be taking place once the gazettement, of course, has been done. So the swearing in will, from the 17th to around the 28th, that is when, to the 22nd, that is when the swearing in will be taking place in all the counties. Judges have already been assigned, magistrates have already been assigned in all these places. Remember, before the election, there was the assumption of office committees in all the 47 counties, which was just arranging sort of the nitty-gritties of what would happen if and when a new government is elected. Remember, there are more than 20 new governors elect in all the 47 counties. So this will be interesting to see how there is a handover of power. When the old ones come in and then when the old ones leave and the new ones coming in, and sort of the arrangements that have been there. So this is what the Ministry of Devolution and Planning is saying that has been set into motion, and so that there will be a seamless transition if in all these counties where a new person will be coming in. I remember some governors, like the Nairobi governor-elect Mike Sonko, has said that he doesn't want a lavish ceremony of 25 million shillings that had been allocated, but the cabinet secretary says that a swearing-in ceremony will have to be done. That is the constitution, that is what the law says. So even if it is a simple ceremony inside an office or just somewhere very cheap, it is obligatory that a swearing-in ceremony will have to take place. Two other issues that have come up, of course, is the issue of the numerous grants and loans and mortgages that some of these officials had, and he's saying that these, of course, will have to be taken care of by the banks and by other financial institutions which had given this. Of course, there is also the issue of investigations which had been going on. Remember, many governors have audit queries. Many governors were still before the Public Accounts Committee, and some had actually been even taken to court because of corruption allegations and because of other issues in their counties. The Cabinet Secretary says that all of this will continue to go on even when they leave office, because the governors, the specific governors in question, will be investigated as individuals and as holders of the office they once held. Trevor?
Andrew, what happens in the event there are petitions against the governors, those who are not happy with the outcome of the results? Will they still be sworn in?
Yes, of course, the swearing in. Remember, the constitutional advisor to the presidency, Abdul Kadir, has clearly stated this, and he said that unlike the case where in a presidential election where the case has to be completed before the president assumes office, in the case of a governor, unless a high court, unless a competent high court, of course, stops the swearing-in ceremony, then it will go on. A petition challenging the election of a governor will go on when the governor is in office. This is what happens in all the other seats. And when the court, if a court nullifies the election of a governor, that is when a by-election will be held. Remember, even in 2013, when there were so many petitions against so many other governors, some of the petitions went up to the Supreme Court. Of course, the most famous one being that of the Nairobi governor, Evans Kidero, which of course raised its own challenges and controversies also. But remember, even when these petitions were going on, the governors were in office and they were still transacting business. This is unlike in the case of the president, where the petition has to be heard within a limited period of time, and that is 14 days from the moment it is filed in the Supreme Court. In the case of the governors, it is filed in the High Court, and of course it can go, most of them actually, you remember, went up to the Supreme Court. The case of the Mombasa, the case in Mombasa and the case in Nairobi as well, and in so many other counties which were also challenging. So the swearing-in will go on unless, of course, the swearing-in ceremony itself is stopped by the court. But if it's just an election petition, then of course the governors will be sworn in and the petition will be heard when the county government is in office and is functioning.
Andrew, before I let you go, on the issue of compensation, is the government mandated in any way to pay the outgoing legislators? Because we saw some MCAs saying that this election has cut down their terms.
Well, of course, that matter has come up. Remember, there has been talk. There will be a send-off package for the governors who are leaving. The Ministry of Devolution will have all these will have within the law. Of course, there are contributions that some of these governors and some of the county assembly staff are making when it comes to retirement, when it comes to any other benefits or any other benefits paying out from their salaries. So from the salaries, all these saying that all these, of course, they will be given according to the law, and if there is any other sort of package that anybody has to be given to anybody, then it will have to be put in a law somehow. All this is done, all of legally, so that all of any money they are they're getting in terms of from a legal process.
For that comprehensive analysis and watching of the Treasury where the devolution government secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri just gave a press going to be swearing in of governors from next week, and I'm sure different dates, and I'm sure more even more specific dates on January 5th, January 7th, remember the 47th one was that at least in one we had the whole day, but for now let's talk to Lois Wangoy still in Eldoret studios with Samson Cherargei. Lois.
Thank you, Trevor. And before we also ask our guests to give us input into that particular matters, young leadership, just remember, joining us as your guest, Senator-elect of the County of Nandi. Just before we went on that red review, you were discussing the issue of leadership, and you gave a very comprehensive answer. I still want to delve further on you and this time around to something different. We have seen the leadership being also moving by the current allegiance to in particular Osio and team also after the elections we did a number of young leaders tap into their ahead of their being in the power and of course in the elections. So from where you sit, how do you ensure that even as the party intends to tap into these areas and in these areas, of course we have seen also the different president of declared that he has presidential ambitions too, and it is so, and it is also under the mind that he rely heavily in relying upon in 20. How do you ensure that you continue to and in the tenants at the same time falling into the psychophancy trap?
Thank you for that question. The issue is I don't know, there is always a wrong message when you support a party leader in Parasite, which is far from democracy. The party democracy is why when we were campaigning for the last 3 months, by the way, in Nandi we were the highest, we were the presidential for the highest. So what I wanted to say is that when some of us were we called for from the president. And they remember I saw that when I was telling you, Senator, you can't start before you step. So that is the fact now, even the other political affiliation, even the president himself, they've called for including party democracy. Rather of us having the evaluations for A, we are not for A, but the issue is not even we should respect it. And that is what I've done. I was elected to Senate after to believe I was not elected to anyone independent. So I as the principles of democracy, we must protect. And it happens in this that our deputy is who happens to come from as a young person, and I want to say because most of my colleagues were young, and they were given opportunities to serve in serious communities. It means the Jubilees have to believe because they know the future and they represent the aspirations. So as the incoming senator or as a senator-elect, they should believe as will give some of us either of serving, either of the community, we serve the government does not mean when you say now we must push it doesn't mean we are not serving we will ensure we serve the interest of the Nigerian they get vibrant and equal and fair and transparent and even national senate and even will ensure to represent the interest of the nation being given the other side and even other side so that we ensure that does not mean we are psychophone. It means for the fact that you have mentioned that His Excellency the Deputy President will be running for presidency. Us as a young senator, and we will also work hard and aggressively but I feel that we deliver that presidential comes to our region, it comes to our region because that if I show that His Excellency the President has worked very hard in 25 the many challenges that he had, the ICC, he was banned from being a now he made sure that now he made won the president 2017 was
let me take that today from where you come from. From where you come from, we have the MP terrible also was also been re-elected to office after the 2013 the government of the day in balance checks and balances. So the people of Nandi overwhelmingly for him. Political observers or largely observe Alfred as a person who is not per se a person who has kept his eye on the ball in trying to represent his own. That is an observation from some political quarters, of course not all. So where does that leave the light of who decide to protect the government while at the same time passing the agenda from where you sit? Is there conflict? Will such brains also become?
What I want to say is that the likes of Alfred Ketela are criticized. For me, I'm in government. So if I have to criticize the government, I have an opportunity of doing in camera, or it doesn't mean that I need to come and media to come and criticize. Because you are criticizing the same people who are just like any other organization. So if I have an issue that I need to raise with the government, or it is always the best to raise them in, and I discuss with them because it's our deputy. But I don't need to rush with many other officers. And of course, Alfred Ketela might be hard as why he was criticized by the government. Personally, maybe he has his own perception as a leader. He has his own perception, particularly I think as we go along, we need everybody. Alfred, be the rest that has been criticizing the government, we need everybody. We need everybody for the big challenge we have. So despite the fact that they have criticized the government before, it doesn't mean we don't work together for development of the country, but as leaders, we will always try and discuss our issues, and because we have the advantage of being in the same coalition and discuss with the president.
It's very important how leaders come to the media to knocking at the residents of Nandi saying this is what I'm doing, and then the media creates some site where you can say critiquing the government out, these elements out of government because I think
But I agree, of course, that is unlawful, the freedom of media, and also the issue of ensuring public participation in the parliamentary. I agree, but there are so many things. We have the National Assembly, and when you just think of the previous government, they never criticized in parliamentary. They only criticize and rally. I wish we could use that's what happened. Apart from even consultative meeting, we have one-on-one, we have also the Senate, and so I want to see some of these people who want the government in National Assembly, so that we get everyone would be shouting, but when you get the Senate, you will be able to parliament, you will be able to highlight your thoughts, and even Kenyans can get what you are thinking about. Some people get into so many things that but I agree that what people should know what we are doing as leaders.
Thank you, Senator Nandero. Let us go to matters of national. I think for a chapter there, what is going on, what is the mood in how the seemingly schedules for bettering their lighting costs, or are they still electioneering?
I think people are what we are very because we are the since it's a nominations in the nominations in the electoral a week ago. What I want to say when we were campaigning, especially just before, we ensured that and if you look at Nandi has been largely especially along Mase, Kisumu, we share with the Yega, and many other even other districts sharing with all these counties, and I want to remind the county, our residents are receiving their normal fares. Normally was not done. In fact, there was not, so it was normal. In fact, there were many people who are received just who come from regions like Western Kenya, they are comfortable. They are comfortable. No one, in fact, they away during elections, and as you can see, and I hope media will get the are working. Normally, even they are doing everything with the local. So Nandi largely are peaceful. They are sensitive. I want to still call upon them that still they stay with their routine. Now elections is behind us. There was no all of whether you win or you didn't win, all of us want to win. All of us want to win. And I think Nandi counties and peaceful. By the way, Nandi is one of the cosmopolitan counties. We have all the 40. For now, we have the county, which is so we have everybody. So we have everybody. Even Makonde can come all and work what they have. They do what they have to do. But for us, Nandi, everything is going on as well.
And today morning we had a very serious injury. It was just giving a direction from where the sitting in the country on how the country of course these other set of legislators leaders together in among something that there will be no conversation outgoing legislators outside there was conversations about our members will be renewed much next year. So
I think the CSQ are very weak, but they will have the implementation. It means if there was a court in the High Court, that by the High Court, but the MCs have been integrated until March next year. It will be done. It means that even the government will not the exchequer will not have to do that. We will have to do that so they can make sure that we should ensure that is challenged in the court of law. So I think that the issue of paying outside as lawmakers, there are so many legal parameters that the parliament has said there was a set of. So those are issues that are now issues of parliament. Those are issues that the current MPs and even the senators I want to agree with Mandi as we do the CS because they will have to, because if we have to pay means we are bringing another burden to the people in terms of the taxpayers. So we need the law to ensure the law is effective. I know that this is a new form of government. Now we have problems, and I think all those issues. But I agree with it. But I agree with it. We take so that it outside. We also that we don't abuse the law.
And moving forward, of course, the conversation about national vision not to be grant away that the section of Kenya feel uncomfortable with the outcome process, so they got the process for the level governors, even up to the MCA level, what challenge do you have to ensure that these campaigns that has all over the country in the right of down to the African in every field and social fabric, each and every Kenyan is advanced. We talk about even as we talk about moving on after election.
What is happening, of course, I want to agree. I want to agree when we want our president and deputy speaker, they have said there was no way. And therefore that is a very important message. And the president yesterday and the president said that very reconciliation is not celebrating, it's just saying this was just a winner on there was no winner or loser. All of them voted either way, either for NASA or for God or you for all of us are Kenyans. And I want to say that most of the presidential candidates, what we are having is the national presidential candidate I know 6 million is a huge number. And those are Kenyans from most of the presidents say there is no way of Kenyans. All of us I want to tell is the right of which should be a ensure it allows for our country to move forward, allow Kenny supporting every contest. In every contest there is a win or lose situation. The government, the president has mentioned the hand of reconciliation. So we want to allege that. So we want to allege that if it's an agreement, let me just give you a before the election, we saw NASA to challenge the ballot papers. We saw the issue of Article 56, where they want to say every elections are they should be laid together. They were also all the political stations, they were plus. They were challenge. They also challenge the ballot papers, the issue of drinking water. Under that time, they used to tell other political opponents that we must respect the course of law. So it is also the high time be against the institution that you believe in. So it has a right as well to go to court. You go to court. It is a great process. So the judicial process. So that this country belongs to us.
You said earlier, your background is in and I was telling you very about the Central Affairs and how Governor Ombija was running his affairs. Before you decided of course I can see you took the straight and sometimes and it's trying to now as Speaker you give referendum advice to Right Honorable Odinga. So from where you think there is a chain of
no, that's why I say one option that is judicial process is judicial. Another option is to ensure peaceful and under when I was even when I was in the country, there was no day I carried the moment I pick a for a stone, it means no longer that I'm carrying, it means that I'm carrying out of the so under Article 7 they have they must do this, but they want to I want to support the police. I will not support the police that their cases and their cases and their yet the police is yet alive who are working on those investigations and but I'm saying the issue is if they are peaceful protests that goes let the police in fact leave the police in fact leave the but when you go to and ban